Hello and welcome to episode 2 of The Student Section, SGTV's newest sports show. I'm also McConnell, and today I am joined by Zander Collins and Calvin DeLude. In today's show, we will be covering the MLB Playoffs, NFL and college football, NASCAR, and more. So stay tuned and welcome to The Student Section. We are already heading into week 8 of the college football season. Crazy, I know. What's even crazier is that Texas and Penn State started the season ranked number 1 and number 2. Now, Penn State has fallen outside the top 25 and have fired head coach James Franklin. Texas also fell outside the top 25 but have beaten number 6 Oklahoma to become re-ranked. So my question for you gentlemen, with all these ranked teams losing, which team ranked inside the top 5 is in the most danger to miss the playoffs?
That is a great question, Austin, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this, Calvin, but I'll go ahead and start. I think out of the top 5 teams this week, I would say Ole Miss is in the biggest kind of predicament as to if they'll make the playoff or not. I think that they've got a pretty difficult schedule lined up for the rest of the season. They play Georgia and then Oklahoma and then South Carolina, who has underperformed this season but still a quality team that can play to the level of their competition. And I think with a quarterback that's pretty inexperienced coming from the D2 level, although a champion at that level, I think playing in the SEC as the schedule kind of gets a little bit more difficult. It's going to be hard for him to prove himself. You can also look at the strength of their wins and their quality of their wins. Kentucky, bottom of the SEC, they won by 1 score. Kept it close against Arkansas, who's also near the bottom. And I think that for a team that's top 5 ranked, I don't think that they'll make the playoffs necessarily because the SEC is so difficult.
Yeah, Zander, I was going to agree with you. For a second there, I had Ole Miss down, but last minute, I decided to switch it up, and I'm going to take Texas A&M, and for one reason and one reason only. Their last game of the season is against Texas. And I think that it's a trap game right at the end of the season that's going to nab them. We saw some late season regression from the Aggies last year, and currently Texas ranked at 21. I think Arch Manning's going to continue to progress and grow as a player as the season goes on, and I think that Texas A&M is going to start dipping down, and we're going to see kind of a situation there where they lose the last game of the season and just barely miss the playoffs. That's my prediction. That's what I think is going to happen.
I like the analysis there, gentlemen, but I'm going to have to agree with Calvin. I'm going to go with Texas A&M. The Aggies play 3 more currently ranked teams, all on the road. It's going to be a tough road ahead if they want to make the top 12, but we shall see how it plays out. For our second question of the day, let's talk about the Gamecocks. Coming off a 20-10 loss down in Baton Rouge last weekend, the Gamecocks sit at 3-3, right where they were last year. They finished with an impressive 6-game win streak, making them 9-3 last year. But is that still on the table for the Gamecocks this year? Why or why not?
So it is on the table. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not. I think that the Gamecocks have a much more difficult road ahead of them than they did at this time last year. They were playing unranked Oklahoma and then number 10 A&M, who was starting to regress, as I talked about a second ago. And then they played Vandy, Mizzou, and then Wofford. And right now the Gamecocks are set to face Oklahoma at currently ranked 14, and then 6 Bama, 5 Ole Miss, 4 A&M. I mean, these are 3 current top 10 teams and a great team in Oklahoma ranked at 14. This road is super difficult. And also just looking at the start of the season where the Gamecocks, how they played at the start of last season and how they've played at the start of this season, there's just not the same life and energy in the Gamecocks right now. And I don't see them finishing the season with a 6-game win streak like they did last year, as much as it pains me to admit it.
Cal, I'd love to disagree with you on this one because I just don't like you. But I'm going to have to agree with you because looking at the strength of South Carolina's schedule, the easiest team in this run of games was LSU, and they did not look great against them, and they haven't looked great all season. I'll say it. I'll admit it. I'll say it. They haven't looked good at all. And going against what you said, was it 3 top 10?
Yeah, 3 top 10 teams.
3 top 10 teams that are all, well, of course, in the SEC. I just don't see them even getting a game in that stretch. So definitely, I mean, obviously 9-3 is technically possible, but I don't see it happening because the games are just too difficult. And if they were going to make the playoffs, they would have had to not drop games to this point, and they obviously have dropped 3. So it's been kind of a disappointing season. We'll see what they can do. I definitely think 9-3 is not attainable, though.
Yeah, and talking about that LSU game, I mean, the score looks closer than I think the game actually was. You know, the Gamecocks, their only touchdown came off that broken play on the LSU defense where they got that long touchdown run. And, yeah, I'm just not feeling it, Zander. It hasn't been the same Gamecock team this year.
They're not going to be able to do anything until that offensive line shores up. I know firing the offensive line coach, is a step in the right direction, but at the same time, there's only so much a coach can do because it's the players executing on those plays. But I'm usually optimistic in my takes for the Gamecocks, but this season I think I've seen enough to be pessimistic.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's going to wrap up our college football talk. Let's send it on over to Zander Collins for everything soccer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Top Bins, the student section's premier soccer segment. I'm Zander Collins, and due to international break, we don't have any Premier League or Champions League action to recap. So today, I thought it'd be a good idea to make a very, very early Ballon d'Or power rankings. For criteria, France Football Federation's criteria as of late have been 4 things. 1, individual performance. 2, decisive impact. 3, team achievements and collective success. And number 4, class and fair play. My criteria is going to be a little bit different. For this list, it'll be based on the good old-fashioned eye test, as well as some predictions for how their teams will fare for the rest of the season. Let's get into number 5. Coming in at number 5 on this list, we have Pedri Gonzalez from Barcelona. After coming in 11th in the last rendition of the award, which is a complete joke, by the way, there's no way Cole Palmer gets over him in that list, he continues to prove that he's the best midfielder in the world. You simply can't get the ball off of him, and he's just a pure joy to watch. And I think that Barcelona will have a lot of team success this season, which is heavily weighted in these rankings. And I think that he's added more of an end product in the final third, something that a lot used against him last year. So number 5, Pedri. Coming in at number 4 on the list, we have Pedri's teammate, Lamine Yamal. We haven't seen a lot of Yamal this season, but in just 4 appearances in La Liga, he has scored 2 goals and assisted on 3 more. I mean, I think we can comfortably say at this point that he's the best player in the world at just 18 years old. And similar to my reasoning with Pedri, I expect Barcelona to be pushing for many titles, and I think that Lamine Yamal will be the orchestrator of their season. Coming in at number 3 on this list is Real Madrid and French star Kylian Mbappe. After a slow start to life in Madrid last season, Mbappe has come out firing. He already has 14 goals and 2 assists in all competitions this season for Madrid, and he's always in and around that top 5 in every year's rankings for the Ballon d'Or. I expect nothing less from him this year. Even in a stacked team like Madrid, where you've got Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo in that front line, I think he still sticks out as that best player for that team, and I think he has the potential to become France's all-time top goal scorer in this summer's World Cup. He sits just 4 goals behind Olivier Giroud, and if he does that, I think that'll be another narrative that helps his case for this year's Ballon d'Or. Coming in second place is someone who's used to coming in second place in his career, and that's Bayern Munich's number 9, Harry Kane. With 18 goals and 3 assists in just 10 appearances, and Bayern looking to be the favorites to win the Bundesliga yet again this season, Kane needs to be featured on this list. I mean, apart from stats, he's just another player who's a joy to watch. When he drops deep and is able to distribute the ball to his wingers, it's just a joy to watch. And I think that he's the 2nd best striker in world football at the moment, and I think that he deserves to get some recognition on this list. And now for number 1 on this list, who I think, as of right now, will be taking home the award, is Manchester City's monster in attack, Erling Braut Haaland. He scored 12 goals and assisted 1 more in all competitions for Manchester City, and is firing on all cylinders for Norway. This guy's on fire, and I don't see that production dropping. I hear the arguments for Kane to be number 1, but I think he has better service than Haaland, making what he's doing even more impressive. If City can challenge for the Premier League and make a deep run in the Champions League, Haaland is going to reap those benefits. That does it for this week's episode of Top Bins. Comment down below who you think your top 5 are at this point in the season, and I will see you on the pitch next week.
Welcome back to the Hot Lap, the student section's NASCAR segment. This week and every week until the end of the NASCAR season, I will be breaking down and analyzing the NASCAR Cup Series races. The round of 8 just kicked off in Las Vegas last weekend, and Denny Hamlin secured his spot in the Championship 4. Not only is he still looking for his first NASCAR Cup Series championship, he joined some elite company. Hamlin's win at Vegas was his 60th win in his career and ties him with Kevin Harvick for 10th on the all-time wins list. As we look ahead to this Sunday's race in Talladega, 3 spots are left to fill in the championship race. Team Penske teammates Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney are looking to dig themselves out of a hole after Blaney crashed out of the race last weekend and Joey Logano is behind on points. But do not count them out. This is the same position they were in last year, and they both made it to Phoenix and raced and won the championship. Remember, if you win, you're in. So no matter what the point situation is, if they can win any of these next 2 races, they will join Denny Hamlin in that Championship 4. It will be a fun wildcard race in Talladega as drivers will look to survive and be there at the end when it matters. That's all I've got from the track this week. I hope you'll take a lap with me next week as we find out who conquered the infamous Talladega Superspeedway. Now let's send it on over to Calvin DeLude for the 2-minute drill.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the 2-Minute Drill. I'm Calvin DeLude. No Jalen Long this week, but that's not going to stop us from talking some football. NFL fans can agree that this season has not been what we were expecting during the offseason. Daniel Jones and the Colts are 5-1. The Steelers and the Patriots are leading their divisions. It feels like it's 2007 again. And you have teams like the Falcons who lose 30-0 to the Panthers and then beat the Bills on Monday Night Football. In such an unorthodox season, picking our top 5 teams seems near impossible. But we're going to try anyways. My number 5 spot is going to the Los Angeles Rams. LA has been red hot on offense lately. Matt Stafford is giving every ounce of football he has left in the tank into this season. Sean McVay continues to show why he's one of the best coaches in the league, and Puka Nacua was on pace to have a historic receiving season before suffering an injury that's going to sideline him for a few weeks. If Puka was still healthy, they'd probably be in my top 3. At the number 4 spot, I have my Seattle Seahawks. Currently sitting at 4-2 in second place in the NFC West, Sam Darnold is showing that he doesn't need Kevin McConnell to be an elite quarterback in this league. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has his eyes set on Calvin Johnson's receiving yards record. The defense, even without multiple members of their secondary, is dominating, sacking Trevor Lawrence 7 times this past weekend. And at number 3, we have the Green Bay Packers. This cheesehead defense has been stellar. If we exclude that insane 40-40 tie against the Cowboys, the Green Bay defense is allowing just over 15 points a game. The biggest question mark is their offense. If Jordan Love can stay consistent, don't be surprised if they make a deep playoff run. Now at number 2, I'm going with Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts. If I was a betting man, I would have put a lot of money on the Colts not being a good football team, and I would have lost a lot of money. They are a bad fumble at the goal line away from being 6-0, and I don't see them slowing down. And finally, at my number 1 spot, I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On Sunday, Baker Mayfield went 17 for 23 with 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was without his wide receivers 1 through 4 and 2 starting offensive linemen. He is carrying the city of Tampa on his back, and I could see him taking them all the way to the Super Bowl. 6 weeks through the NFL season, it's been absolute cinema. Speaking of absolute cinema, let's talk about the MLB Playoffs. 4 teams remain in contention for a World Series championship. The Dodgers and the Brewers are squaring off in the NL, while the Mariners and the Blue Jays battle in the AL. Both the Brewers and Mariners have never won a World Series, so we might be seeing a new champion this year. The Mariners are 2-0 as we're recording, but Game 3 of the ALCS is tonight, so that will be different by the time this airs. The series is heading to Seattle, though, and I have them coming out of the series in a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. And while many fans would hate to see it, I don't see any way the Dodgers don't come out victorious against the Brewers. There's a reason their payroll is as high as it is. Yoshinobu Yamamoto went a complete game last night. The Brewers are a young team with a lot of potential, but I don't think they're polished enough to handle LA's star power. But hey, Brew Crew, prove me wrong. I'd love to see it happen. That's going to do it for me, folks. Now, on to some hot takes.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Student Section's Hot Take segment. First time we've done this on the show. I think we're going to do it a lot more because this is going to be a fun one, fellas. So we've got 3 hot takes that our lovely producer, Emma, created and came up with. We've got one that's sports focused, one that's kind of lifestyle focused, and one kind of in between. So we've got a good majority here today. So are you boys ready?
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
Hot take number 1. Drake May and Stephon Diggs are becoming the new Tom Brady and Randy Moss, and they will lead the Patriots back to the playoffs.
I think that the only thing that makes them similar is that none of them are going to win a Super Bowl together. They'll probably go to the playoffs this year. I think the Patriots are surprising a lot of people, and I was on the Drake May hype train this offseason. He's my fantasy quarterback this year.
Yeah, me
Austin
too.
knows about that. They're not the same duo. I think Stephon had a really good game against his former team, but I don't see them sustaining that elite connection all year long.
If you haven't noticed by now, our producer Emma is a Patriots fan, and I'll weigh in on this question. I think that the playoffs are within reach for the Patriots. They sit atop of the AFC East, but it would take a Space Jam-like tragedy for that to happen. For Drake May to hoist the Lombardi, something with aliens had to have happened, because I think he's a great quarterback. Is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Not to me.
I don't think they're a Super Bowl winning
Stephon Diggs
team.
is way past it. I think he's had one good game this season against the Bills.
Yep.
Yeah, not for me. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry, Emma.
I was going to touch on that career high game he had against the Bills in like multiple categories, but other than that, hasn't really done much. Yeah, I mean, you guys took the words right out of my mouth. I think Drake May is a solid quarterback, and
Right out of him.
right out, and he.
I don't know
But
why-
just and you mentioned it, as a team, I don't think they're a Super Bowl winning team, let
Yeah.
alone a quarterback.
Good duo.
And wide receiver.
Yeah,
duo.
and I
Very
think
good duo.
I think they have the ammunition to get there. I mean, like they have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of young talent. They're just not there yet, and you know, that's you know, I think it's going to be a few years. And I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be there long enough to be part of that connection. So, next question.
Hot take number 2: sleeping with socks on.
Absolutely not for me. I can't do it. I don't like when my feet get sweaty, and I'm a big blanket guy. I'll go ahead and say it. I love blankets. And when I sleep with blankets on and I have socks on, it's just too hot for my piggies, and I just can't do it. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me wake up. Just can't do it.
Weighted blanket.
You see, I'm not too familiar with the weighted blankets game. I know that he's been an all-star before, and that
Yeah.
he's
He's
pushed
an
for
elite prospect
titles,
for sure.
but I'm not familiar with his game. I'll have to watch the tape on that, but heard good things.
Diggs, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get better than Stephon Diggs. But, you know, I'm definitely not a sleeping with socks guy. I do, you know, you get into bed and you do have the socks on, and then you got to go the toe method and get your toes and your under there and hook them off. I lose a lot of socks that way. You know, I just take them off while I'm in bed, and then I can't find them the next morning. And I'm like, where'd all my socks go? But yeah, no, I don't sleep with socks on. Unless it's like really cold out, get some cabin socks out, and, you know, we keep them on. But most of the time, it's bare feet out under that blanket.
Okay. I'm going to go kind of like in the middle here. I agree with, to an extent, with both points. You know, I don't sleep with socks on. I do not. But I do take them off right before bed. I'll have them on when I'm kind of just chilling on the couch, watching some like Monday Night Football or some hockey or something like that.
Sports ball.
Just a little sports ball on the court, field goal, home run. You know. But
Whole nine
I'll
yards.
have them on because my feet do get cold. But when I go to bed, that's what the blanket's for, man. So I'll take them off before bed. But I feel like I'm kind of in between you here, literally. Anyways, moving on to hot
That
take
was
number 3.
awful.
I was gonna make another joke, but it wasn't gonna land.
Yeah, he's not doing
awful.
this again.
Hot take. I'm fired too. Hot take number 3: losing in fantasy football hurts more than a breakup.
I'll tell you guys firsthand, I lost to my dad in fantasy football this week, and that cut deep because I thought he loved me. The amount of trash talk I've been receiving in my text messages while he's supposed to be at work, by the way, is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, we gotta
And-
send this to his boss.
Maybe not. I got to get through school. But, you know, it does hurt, especially when it comes from someone you love.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like it's being reciprocated. I'm gonna have to go break up because I don't lose in fantasy football, and Austin can tell you all about that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of piggyback off what you said. Mine didn't come from a family member. It came from a good friend of mine named Calvin DeLude. I got absolutely chirped this
158
week.
to 73,
Yeah,
if I recall.
75.
He recalls. He looked at it
75.
multiple times.
I did.
I
I sent
it
it to
was-
the group chat. We let people know.
Yeah, no, I got put on blast a few times over the last couple days. I'm gonna make some excuses.
Josh Jacobs, 32 points. Drake May balling out on primetime
Lamar's
football.
hurt. My star wide receivers on a bye or hurt. Marvin Harrison
Excuses.
got hurt.
Excuses.
Yeah, it's been rough. So I'm gonna say yes. Fantasy football and then getting chirped by your buddy. Well, at least you thought you were your buddy. Hurts. It hurts a lot.
I mean,
so.
you think that this kind of stuff only lasts a week. I mean, because, you know, it takes different time for people to heal from different breakups, but a bad fantasy loss can follow you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Forget getting over that girl or boy. How about that time that your receiver got hurt in the second quarter?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
This week, guys, I had Egbuka and Puka Nakua. They both went out in the game, and that contributed to the loss of my dad. And he's probably watching this right now, and he's probably giggling and
Hi,
smiling.
Mr. Collins.
So, I'm not a fan of it.
Well, that's gonna do it for this week's hot take segment. I think we're definitely gonna do that again. That was some interesting hot takes,
was a hoot and
boiling
holler.
hot
Yeah,
takes.
thanks, Emma.
And we're gonna have a lot more. So thank you to our producer Emma, and we'll see you next time on this hot take segment. That wraps up our show for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to the Student Section Sports Show on SGTV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at SGTV at USC. To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also visit us online at sgtv at usc.com. Alongside Calvin DeLude and Zander Collins, I'm Austin McConnell, and we will see you here next week on
The Student Section.